Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Voices of Western, the Humans of Western podcast. If you're new, welcome. This is a podcast where we dive deeper into the personal lives of students, staff, faculty, and alumni here at Western University, as well as the affiliate colleges. My name is Emmanuel, and today I'm joined with special guest Matthew, who is a third-year comp sci student and a filmmaker. Today,
Nice to meet you guys.
yeah. How's you been today? What you been up to?
Sorry, what'd you say?
How have you been today?
Oh, how I've been today, my bad. No, I've been good. I've been good. Just midterm and uh just trying to balance school and everything else, which is what the average student goes through
Yeah, it's a
university,
pretty classic
right?
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, very classic, yeah.
Yeah. You had a midterm today with a comp sci midterm?
Yeah, I had a comp sci midterm. And now after this podcast, I'm gonna study for my math midterm that's coming up this Saturday. So
It
a
is,
lot of studying, unfortunately.
yeah, that time of the year, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
we get through it. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
really the main thing that is interesting with you.
No,
Been working on
I
a lot of different things.
I used to be like before because I'm not in comp sci by pure choice. It's more because like it's what my parents kind of eased me into.
Uh,
And I used to hate that until now I'm like I don't mind it as much and I actually prefer studying this over film or anything else, even though film is my main thing
yeah.
because it's like I don't know, it helps me grow as a person just to study something difficult,
Yeah,
you
definitely
know,
makes
like
sense.
it's like I don't know, like a lot, I've learned a lot of things. Like it's definitely improved my work ethic.
That's
Um,
good.
with like, with studying and getting organized. That
Yeah.
pressure of like I gotta do well, man. You know.
Yeah,
And I
I
think we
get
talked
that.
about, yeah, we talked about at one point about input and output of art, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I mentioned that. I think that um if your input is just the same as everyone else, you have kind of nothing interesting to say when it comes to art. So I feel like having a unique experience to life kind of gives you a much unique output. So my point is, if because I'm into film, I don't really want to spend my entire early life and childhood just watch movies, write essays, and talk about it. Because then it's like I'm almost like a contribute, not contribute. I'm almost like a machine for film, rather than like a contributor. You know, it's like I'm like a thing that keeps filmmaking going instead of someone that's trying to express myself with film. You know, it's like two different things, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So I always see it as like it's much better that I don't dedicate. Like obviously, it's important to understand film and study it and understand how it works, so that when I try to express myself, I know how to do it properly, and people can understand me, and the film is executed well. But I don't want to go to film school and and study the same thing as everyone else, have the same discussions as everyone else, just stuck in this certain group
Yeah.
for a long
I get that. I like that. You're a bit.
as probably knows more than I do, but because I'm in computer science and I'm in a different environment, it kind of forces me to open up, like meet different people and uh see different things. Even if I don't really care about it, it
That's
forces
fair.
me to know and understand. And who knows, maybe comp sci has like a connection to filmmaking, with
I think there's different
that's
parts of it.
personal, yeah, like a personal connection, which I haven't seen yet, but maybe one day. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's an interesting perspective. So you're not taking it, but comp sci because you like comp sci. You're taking it because like you feel it's something else to do that you can focus on.
Yeah, it's just like it's a degree, like it's multiple of reasons. It's a degree to fall back on because I'm gonna be realistic here because I've looked into studying film, and
Hmm.
it's not something you can graduate with and then immediately go into like Hollywood. Film is a very, very complex industry and it's very hard to get into, right? Because when I first got into Western, my first year before I even started first year, and I had a lot of people that had exact same thoughts as me, where we thought, okay, well, we'll study film and then we'll graduate and make films. Unfortunately, real life, it doesn't work as easy as that. It's not very easy. You need to know people, have um you need to get started on, first of all, like to make films before you even have that degree. Get started now and then, you know, and then get that degree. You know what I mean? And not wait until, oh, I'll wait till after I graduate. And then a lot of people come up to me and tell me that it's like, yeah, like I plan to make movies one day. It's like, dude, start now, man. Start making small videos, whatever it is, just start doing it now. Don't wait because you learn by doing. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? You want to get to that version of you that's creating. It's not just gonna spawn randomly one day because you learn all the theory stuff. Theory is one thing. You need to put it into practice. Just like with comp sci for me, I only know the stuff theory. I can't make a program right now because I haven't like, do that every day like I do with film. I don't make random programs for fun. So I only understand the theory, but I don't know how to create programs. Like for specifically, I don't know how to make an app. You know what I mean? So theory is only one thing. You got to put it into practical for it to work and then become that person you want to be that's creating. And that's the same thing with art. You can't just study theory all day and then not put it into practice, you know? So a lot of people come up. So I had a few friends that would tell me like, yeah, like, I just want to learn this stuff and then one day make films. Like, no, bro, like start now, make the connections you need to make, meet people and collaborate because that's the only way you're going to learn because the world is very harsh. You can't just, unfortunately, you can't just like, I want to be somebody. You have to put in a lot of work and sacrifice to it. And it's something that's why like a lot of people on Western they do that. They sacrifice so much, right? And yeah, and so that's why I'm like, um I kind of went off a tangent there, so I kind of forgot what even the main point was. But my point
yeah,
is
that's
that like
fair.
just yeah. But my point is that it's like just yeah, I kind of like completely forgot what my main point was, but you get what I was trying to say, right? Like it's just
Yeah,
gotta get started now, and you can't just. I completely forgot what your question was to
yeah.
me.
I
That's what
was
that's
just
what
asking.
that's what's getting to me. Like,
Yeah, I get it. I feel like you're really
yeah,
passionate about um filmmaking and how you want to do it. I was asking more in the sense that like if you have, I guess filmmaking is something that's really, really important to you. I feel like it's not doesn't do it if I could just call it like a hobby. But if you have something
hmm
that you're passionate about, um, but you know you don't want to like stay streamlined in that, do you want to go to something else you're passionate about? Like
I
or like something you're like suddenly because like if you don't want to like do film in school as your main thing, um, do you want comp sci to be your main thing that you're doing? Because like there are
no
always
film
other options.
comp sci to me. I think this is what I was trying to say. It's more like a part-time job to me. There are a lot of people that have
But
part-time
is that
jobs, right?
yeah, like I
Yeah,
get your point that like it's just something
yeah,
else that you're doing, but is that
yeah.
like it's
Like something I'm gonna use one day.
yeah,
No, I don't think so. But I don't mind that. There's not something. It used to stress me out. It used to be like I'm really dedicating this few years of my life to this thing that I'm never gonna use. But I've kind of made peace with it. I kind of don't care that much. I feel like
mhm,
life is hard when you make it hard. So I'm, to me, it's like I'm gonna learn this thing, comp sci, even if I'm never going to use it because I get big in filmmaking one day. Like it still brought me a lot of experience, and the people I've met a lot of people through comp sci,
yeah,
and people who are like helping me in my films from comp sci. And comp sci, that's what I'm thinking. Like I have a lot of stuff that I probably haven't even learned yet. Like when I go into fourth year or fifth year, there's gonna be stuff I'm learning. It's not just purely of the educational side of comp sci, but I'm talking about the experience side of going to class and interacting and the kind of study and meeting people so you could do well in your courses in the comp sci field in that major. And there's gonna be some lessons I'm gonna get for that, some growth lessons, which I
mhm.
might not get if I just study film, and that's something I've thought about this year where I considered transferring the fence off film because I was doing really bad in comp sci and I was not because I was bad at comp sci because I wasn't putting the effort to it because I wasn't finding the passion in me to do it.
Hmm.
And then eventually when I was treating it like a job, that's when I was doing it well enough. I was like, okay, well, I want to do well because I want to do well in school. My friend has this really good quote that tells me every time because he says to me that you're always doing films, you're not studying, you need to study so you could make films, so
Yeah.
and I I remember just he said that you don't study, life is bad. So it kind of made me realize I've been like spending my first second year as a filmmaker rather than as a student. And I didn't transfer the French of film, well, because of the multitude of reasons I told you about. I don't want to streamline in just film. I want to try different things. I want to get different experiences, different perspectives, so that my output for films is so I could get different outputs, so I could get different ideas and different, ways I could enlightenments I could feel when it comes to structuring my ideas, coming up with ideas. Uh, Even comp sci has even taught me some vocabulary when it comes to like filmmaking, even
Hmm.
expressing myself articulately from comp sci, even though it's not an English, it's not an English class, it's programming. But
Yeah.
the terms they use when they're in the lectures, like strings and programs and shit like that, it it's improved my way of like trying to articulate my ideas. I usually not know how to articulate my opinions, and my thoughts sometimes are always all over the place. So it helps me structure things. It's really weird. So it has nothing to do with English, nothing to do with literature, but it's helped improve it. So it makes me
Hmm.
think sometimes that some concepts and some things are not related, but they still connect in some ways that you don't even see on a surface level,
Yeah.
you
It's like
know?
how you can grow from anything. It doesn't have to be specifically like school. That's not the only place you can learn things. You don't have to like experience, regardless of what the experience is. You can take something from it. You can take something and learn from it,
Exactly, yeah.
no matter
There's a
good or
term saying
bad.
you can learn from everyone.
Yeah, everyone and
Yeah,
everything and every experience
exactly.
that you're in. Um,
Like, dude, you only have one life. You can't like, you have one life. I feel like I want to do everything. I don't even just want to do films. I want to stop one day and dive into other things. I want to make music or direct a theater or whatever that my mind I feel like doing. At one point I thought about wanting to be in the NBA. I tried and that didn't work out. Like I'm not good enough. I'm too short. But if there are things that I'm capable enough of doing, I'm going to try it.
yeah,
And
that makes a
sometimes
lot of sense.
yeah, and sometimes we are the limiters to that because I used to think I'm bad at comp sci, like I'm horrible at it. And I said, but bringing it back to what I said earlier was that, it wasn't that I was bad at it. It's just because I was holding myself back. I didn't want to do comp sci, and that's why I was doing bad my
Yeah,
own strength. Because I think anyone can study whatever they want to study, even if they're bad at it outright. You know what I mean? If they, you can't say, dude, it's just not for me. Dude, try it anyways. Like, give it a chance. Give it a chance, like for a while, and it might hit. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And try everything, because like you only have one life. You can't just dedicate to one thing. And then like when you're at age, like let's say 80, if I'm 80 years old and I spent my entire life in just film, I feel like I might be like, I don't know. I feel like it's just boring a little bit. I feel like
yeah,
I didn't really explore life fully if all I've done is just this one thing. I haven't really lived my life.
yeah,
So I want to like do everything. I want to try everything, even if I fail at it, even if I might be good at it. So even with music, I really, really, I love music and I want to make music. And I've actually tried using music to express my ideas before I chose filmmaking. And it turns out I'm really bad at music. I have the ideas, but like I'm really bad at it. But now there's a thing. That's a limiter I put on myself because outright when I tried it, I was bad at it. You know, I found that my voice wasn't good enough and this and that. But I know for a fact if I dedicate a period of my life into understanding this, talking to the right people, having the right resources, finding the right resources, and then dedicating it, I can create music that will be unique to me and that will be good. So outright, I'm bad at it because I haven't fully delved into it. Haven't really given myself the chance to get good at it. Because the disappointment was there and it disappointed me that I was bad at it outright. You know. So I think people need to understand that. with anything you attempt in life, you're gonna get that disappointment. There's a period, right? You're gonna attempt it and there's disappointment. You got to get past that disappointment so you can get to the part where you like envision yourself before you even tried it. Like trying to make good music, you have the vision of yourself like, oh, I'm an artist. I want to be on stage one day and performing. But you're not gonna be that person tomorrow. So you're gonna get that
Yeah.
disappointment of first time performing where you're performing really badly and everyone's not enjoying it. And the same thing with me with film because when I knew I was good at film. And this was a I didn't have a limit with film because I knew from the very beginning this was my thing. So I kind of convinced myself that I had no limits to this. So my first few projects and few films were really bad. But I had convinced myself that this is my calling, like this is my destiny. So even if it was bad, I knew that, well, I know this stuff I'm gonna make in 10 years. So I don't really care. I'm gonna keep going at it and learning and understanding. And then eventually I started making some really like crazy stuff, after a period of time. So I got past the disappointment because I had people coming up to me that, when I first started making stuff, I showed some people and they're like, dude, this is like I wasn't getting the compliments I was getting today. And someone even outright told me that it was bad. Like my first film, my first two, like I
Oh
wouldn't
no.
call it a film, I'll call it a video. So but I wasn't disappointed. I was actually just angry. I'm like, I can't believe you said that to me. I'm like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. But I
Yeah.
think some people, some students, they would get that disappointment of the first time and then they would be like, it's not for me. And I would say, get past that, stick to it, give it like a year or something. Like, and then like you'll find that you'll get past the phase of learning into I'll say beginner amateur. You get past the beginner phase of disappointment and you get to the amateur phase and eventually you'll get to the damn, I'm actually contributing something to this art form or whatever it is. It can be comp sci too. Like me, I'm at the disappointment phase right now, but I'm gonna stick to it and then after a while I'm gonna eventually probably like program something that helps with my film or maybe if AI or something. I don't know. I don't think so, but just a
Yeah, you
small
can see.
little throwing ideas, right? So yeah, and it's something very interesting that I've learned. It's something I wouldn't have learned if I just stuck with film. These are all like life things that I wouldn't know if I wasn't going through this turbulations by just sticking with something that makes me comfortable.
Yeah.
Because you got to step into the uncomfortable to really learn. To grow as an artist, you need to be uncomfortable. You need to grow. You need to not just grow your art, but as a person. You know what I mean? Your art grows with you. That's why you see sometimes a lot of artists they will be one hit wonders, right? They would throw stuff out, but they wouldn't know how to elevate their art. But then you have really good artists like Kendrick, uh, Kanye, and whatever artists, right? Um, where you see their art are different from compared to when they were in the beginning, and then like now, like current projects. It's like vastly different to the sound and to the lyrics they were talking about. Like Kendrick's latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, is an album about what do you call it? Trauma, as generational trauma and whatnot, growing as a person, letting go. And actually something I really resonate with, choosing yourself over the culture. Something we'll talk on about later. And his first project, like Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly, are about the culture. But then his latest album is about me. I'm choosing me instead of culture. He had a song called Mirror, I Choose Me, I'm Sorry. So it's very interesting, right? You see that artists grow and their projects also grow. So it's not just that you grow in technicality because you gotta separate the two. Growing in technicality of like your art is presenting itself better. That means if I were to make films, that means my second film looks better. Right? The quality is much better. The framing is much better. But what about the narrative? The narrative
Hmm.
has to grow with you. The story and the ideas. It can't just be the technicality of I know how to use the camera now. But what about my ideas? My ideas has to grow with me.
That
I
makes
can't be
sense.
having the same ideas I was having 2 years ago or a year ago or a month ago. It has to grow with me. And the only way to do that is for you to grow yourself, to grow your perspectives and to open your mind, which is why a lot of artists they take time away from the art, right? And they taking a break. It's not necessarily just burnt out. It's just finding other things and just letting yourself grow so that when you come back, now you have something new to bring to the table. And back to my point where I said you can't, that's why I think it's not good for you to streamline and dedicate to one thing only. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You're not
Yeah.
letting yourself grow, you know. You're
Yeah.
you're you're now I gotta make sure I choose my wording properly here. You're kind of like a prisoner to this I call it pendulum,
Hmm.
right? Even in my film, my current film, I call it pendulum because everything is a pendulum. You have culture as pendulums and stuff like that. So you're becoming this thing where you're a prisoner to this pendulum because you're obsessed with it. You want to be big in it. You know, you want to be an artist. You want to be a doctor, a programmer. But okay, no, I think this is more towards art instead of stuff like science. So you want to be an artist, but you're just you want it so bad that you're kind of forgetting about yourself. So now you're just like a prisoner to this thing, you know, and you gotta like you can't forget yourself, you know. That's why I have a lot of conversations recently with a lot of people who love films, like love films. They want to make films, and they're actually ahead of me. Where in terms of like success, where well, it's kind of weird. The perspective is a bit weird, but I'll explain it right now. Like they know more people than me in the film industry, but they haven't made their first film yet. I've made a few and now they watch the demo of my current one. They're like, this is amazing. I want to make stuff like this. But they know more film people than I do. They're kind of in the film industry. I am not even there yet. So they're kind of ahead than me, but they're not at the same time. And so we
Hmm.
were having a discussion about that. And I told them, I had a similar conversations with people in Western about that. And well, where their mistake is, I told them is that you're so focused on the technical side of it. How do I get into the industry? How do I make it? How do I be successful? That you're just networking. That's your worry. Your number one obsession is networking, meeting the
Yeah.
right people, setting myself up. You're forgetting about the artistic side of it, the you part of it. What do you bring? If you're gonna introduce yourself to someone, hi, I'm Matthew, right? If I'm gonna network, hi, I'm Matthew. Bro, can you help me out? Like, I really want to put my foot in the door, you know. You just kind of meet different people versus I'm Matthew, I make films. Here, watch one of these. What do you think? And they could say, wow, this is amazing. Let's talk. Yeah, it's go right. You could sometimes they won't tell you outright that they don't like it. And that's fine. Either way, that means it kind of tells you you're not ready yet. Your work is not, you're not caught up yet to where to sit in the big boy table. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I think a lot of people make that mistake of just choosing to network. And I've ignored networking because I've been doing it accidentally, and I haven't really networked with the big boys like the film industry yet, which I'm hoping is soon with my current short film that I'm making, because I'm gonna submit it to festivals. But I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about me, about making sure that I deserve to be heard, that
Mm.
my
That makes
ideas are
sense.
something.
Yeah.
Because when I make films, I'm making someone sit there for like a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I'm taking their time. I'm stealing their time here. They're spending
Feelings, the
time.
hard word.
Yeah. They're watching it. Like, that's why you gotta word it. So it's like when they watch my stuff, they're spending time here, right? It depends how long my stuff is. It could be 10 minutes, 30 minutes. I imagine the feature is an hour long. So that's time is a very valuable resource. You know what I mean? So I feel like it has to be worth for them to sit there and watch my idea and listen to me. Because I feel like if I make something that wasn't worth watching, they're gonna come out of it and be like, that was a waste of my time. And I feel bad. You know what I mean? And I feel like a fraud if I do that. I feel
Yeah.
like, so I always I always make it like I always like think about that. It's like it has to be worth it. Like for you to sit there and watch my stuff. It
Hmm.
can't be like a selfish thing. It's like I'm an artist. Take a look at my art. I'm an artist. It's like an ego thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like, no, man, like, here, I have a perspective on this expression. I'm an artist because that's how I express my thoughts. I don't know how to communicate with people and really tell them how I feel, you know, but I do it through my films. In fact, my current film is an expression that I don't really know how to tell the people without ranting about it,
Yeah.
which is not fitting in.
That makes sense.
So, right.
Yeah.
And so that's why I make films. So when I make people watch my films, I'm like letting my feelings out to them. That's why I think it's worth it. And that's why I try to make it worth it, where it's not just for me, it's for them too. Because you like films, well, come watch mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all that it is. It can't be a pride thing. It can't be like I want to be known as a filmmaker, so I'm gonna make films so people watch me. Like why though? You know? Like what do
Hmm.
you bring? Like what are your like, it can't just be like spontaneous thing. You got to really think about it. This is your life here, you know?
Yeah, that makes
And
sense. I
that translates to a lot of things. So yeah, you're saying? Sorry, I
Yeah,
cut you
sorry.
off there.
No, don't worry. I feel like you really like get your thoughts in a really like heavy stream, and so it's hard to interrupt you to ask you other things or to
Sorry, yeah,
reply to your things. That's not a problem. It's a good thing for a podcast, but also I feel like if I don't say anything, I'll be like, oh no, I didn't say anything for
okay,
20 minutes. No, no,
my
don't
bad.
worry about it. Don't worry about it. A lot of different things I wanted to touch on in there because you expressed from like how you feel about like doing comp sci as a part-time job sort of thing, or like so just so you can like take your own skills from it and then moving on, focusing on your own films and stuff like that, and trying to have filmmaking be something you can be proud of, but also not like the only thing you've done for all of your life. That was like the a while ago, like you
Yeah,
brought that part up. It made me think of, I guess, well, the first thing in time was like James Cameron, who is known for making the Avatar films, not
yeah,
the Blue People, not the Last Airbender, but he was, and I guess science sometimes he is still primarily a marine biologist, and that's like his big thing. He cares a lot about marine biology, and that's
yeah.
more of what he does than filmmaking to an extent.
I think that's
He
why he
puts
made
out,
Avatar too, to talk
yeah,
about those issues,
yeah, which is
So
really
it's
cool. I
interesting.
think, which is why I was just halfway concerned, but also halfway interested in hearing like, oh, well, if you don't like comp sci, then are you like you're picking something to do just because you can do it, but you can still take lessons from it. You can still like also find other things you like in the meantime. So don't want to touch too much on that. I'm trying to get through everything you said, but it's hard to remember everything you said because it was a lot of different things.
We could even move on to a new topic.
Yeah, no, that
The
definitely makes sense. Well, we just talked about your different interests, which you different things you do want to do. Um, how did you I guess, learn that you wanted to get into filmmaking?
I I learned English from films. Uh, when I moved to Singapore from Indonesia, I knew a bit of English, like really bad, like so it's barely English. And then in Singapore, it's not as easy as in Canada. You can't just get into school. You have to apply to it. So it
Mm-hmm.
took a while for my parents to get me into school in Singapore once I moved to continue my education. But I had to apply to different schools.
How
And
old
then it
did you
takes as
move?
a
Sorry.
um I think I was 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in 20 it's in 2010. And then or 8 or something. It
Yeah,
was
sorry.
around that age. And while I was waiting to get in to continue my education, all I had at home was DVDs. So the main thing I watched was SpongeBob, and they were all in Indonesian or Malaysian, which is a similar language to Indonesian. And I would have English subtitles, so that's how I would learn English at the time because that's all I had. I had nothing else to do. I either had the PlayStation 2 or DVDs, and I love watching SpongeBob. That was from watching SpongeBob,
Yeah.
and then I just watched a ton of movies. I had so much time on my hands as a young kid. Um, was just at home all day, So I would watch Spider-Man, all these like classic movies. They weren't like adult movies or like TV mature movies. 'Cause I was really young at the time. My parents didn't let me
That
watch
makes
those,
sense. Yeah.
right? But because I watched them so much, I completed the collection. And then I get to when I was continuing, I was already in school at that point.
Hmm.
And I think I was like 13, 14, around there. Obviously, you see movies in theaters, right? So you see all the more mature movies in theaters compared to when I was watching it at home. So that I would start looking into that. I would start looking into it because I wanted to watch more. I loved watching movies. That was my thing. Movies and anime. So I was really into Naruto when I was a young kid. So I wanted to see other cartoons that was like Naruto. So I was start doing luckily we have internet. So, I started learning stuff about more movies. I started watching those, through streaming sites. So I would literally spend, I think I would go to school in Singapore and I would go home and I would just watch. and I'll repeat until I move to Canada. If I wasn't
Interesting.
doing that, I'll be playing basketball, which I was really bad at, which is where the NBA thing came from. I
That
wanted
makes
to be in it.
sense.
Yeah, so
So you,
because yeah, because all my friends played basketball in high school. So this
yeah,
is before I was like I knew I was gonna do filmmaking. I just loved movies. So
yeah,
I would literally spend all of my time watching movies and anime and TV shows because at that time, as a young kid at home, and I'm not gonna touch on a lot of the context of this, but the best I could describe it as I would have. So when it comes to music, to put this in perspective, when it comes to music, sometimes you listen to music with a certain emotion, right? If you're feeling sad, you're gonna choose to listen to sad music. Sometimes you listen to things because it fit your emotional narrative,
yeah, that makes
right?
sense.
So for me, it was not just music, it was also movies. So I would feel a certain type of way every day, and I would want to watch a movie that would fit that emotional thing I was feeling. So whether it be loneliness, love, sometimes comedy when it comes to like uplifting mood, or angry, so I'll watch more angry movies, gritty movies. So whatever emotional narrative I was feeling, I would watch movies. I'm very picky when I watch a movie. I would feel what I'm feeling, and I would take a very long time trying to pick one until I find one that looks like it fits my emotional narrative. So I don't like watching bad movies because it's like you could tell right away it's bad, and you don't get immersed in it. You know,
Yeah, makes
it's like
sense.
listening to bad music on purpose. It's like you can't really listen the entire thing without being like, damn, this is bad.
Yeah,
I don't like thinking about the movie. I want to be immersed. So
yes.
a lot of it was emotional. And then eventually when I moved to Canada, it's just during a period of my time where so like what do I do after high school?
What'd you say? Sorry, I think you cut off after
There's
a period of time.
so this was during the period of life that people were at in high school when they were figuring out what they want to be in life.
Hmm.
So I thought about that a lot because my mom would ask me that a lot, and I didn't know my answer. I had director as one of my answers. I had multiple answers, because I wasn't sure yet. But one of them was like director. Eventually, what happened was, I was emotional after getting rejected by a girl. This is very irrelevant context,
No,
but
that's fine.
it kind of is relevant. But I got rejected by a girl, and I was really emotional about it. So then, how I said I act on emotional narratives when it comes to watching movies. I started thinking I'm gonna try doing something with my life than just mope about things all day. I tried thinking
That's
about what
fair.
I really like movies. I'm gonna try writing something, like, because I can't make anything right now. I'm gonna try writing a script. So then, at the time, I wrote a screenplay for a TV show I wanted to make. So that's when I was like, okay, let's pretend I want to be a filmmaker when I'm 25 or something like that. This is a TV show I'm gonna make when I'm 25. So I wrote the screenplay and I really liked it. I liked the world building and the ideas I was coming up with. And then that's when I was like, okay, I want to make films because I want to make this TV show. So I went through a period of like, well, I'm gonna get a film degree, graduate, and make this TV show. But then I learned that, as I said beginning of the podcast, it's not as easy as that. That's when I learned that. That's when I learned to stop dreaming in the future and live in the present and start making films now, and then eventually get to the point where I've envisioned of making that idea that I'm coming up with now. You know what I mean? So I'm working towards the point of my life where I'll make that TV show. But I'm not gonna worry about that every day, work on that TV show every day. Not making anything other than that TV show. I have to I'm not buy my way. I have to prove myself to the film world that I deserve getting backed, that you can finance me to make this TV show. You can trust me. I'll make something good,
Yeah,
you know?
to get produced in
And
film and TV, you have to
yeah,
have something
exactly.
at least. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's what I've been working towards. So I haven't worked on that screenplay for a while, but I've had like hundreds of documents of the world building of that TV show that I'll make when I'm 26 or something, or 25, hopefully.
yeah. You have the
Um,
time, finances, and space. Hopefully,
yeah,
get
but
there.
even then, like, they used to be like my main things. I want to make that TV show. I really like it. I spent a lot of time making it, but now I have other ideas. I'm like, I think I have higher priorities in that TV show. So, like
Hmm.
I want to make these movies, list the movies first. I have these ideas, but they change over time depending on the emotional narrative that I'm feeling, you know, before I make that TV show. So I want to be in a comfortable state before I make that, before I start creating that show, like bringing it to life. Like um, like right now I'm in a state of like I'm feeling a certain type of way, so I'm gonna design a project based off that feeling and produce it, create it, put it out, move on to a new feeling before I get to a comfortable state where I don't have to worry about um like I think that's my point is there's certain ideas where I'm gonna worry after I make it.
Hmm.
I don't want to worry about those ideas right now because it's just gonna hold me back from doing what I'm supposed to be doing as of this moment, which is these ideas that I'm feeling now, these emotions I'm feeling now, these projects I'm putting out now, which I think are very more important than the ones you've been working on a long time, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, it's like living in the present for a bit because you
yeah,
you 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 grow more interest as the more you live. So you don't want to keep like going back to something you wanted to do a long time ago, even if that's like a back burner idea. It's not the end for you,
it's
you know.
not, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after high school, you came to Western, and did you explore the film community here and filmmaking here?
I did it first year. Because of COVID, they were kind of like absolved, you
Yeah,
know.
makes sense.
They were kind of gone, dispersed, and graduated. Um, so I couldn't find the community I was looking for to create my ideas.
Mhm.
So I started venturing into other communities. So I ventured into fashion. I helped a sneakers club start up. This is when I dwelt into videography, which is a complete separate thing than filmmaking. So I dwelt into videography. I started making films. I'm not calling it films. I started making videos for clubs. So this is during my so first year I didn't do anything because I couldn't. I didn't know
Fair.
how.
Yeah.
And then I figured it out in second year. I started doing videography. So I was during second year, I was the creative director for the sneakers club. So there's a new role they made just for me
Hmm.
when I first started up before they got ratified. When they got ratified, I left. 'Cause I didn't. I again, I'm like emotion kind of person. I don't. So when I'm not feeling it anymore, I just leave.
Oh
You
wow.
know.
That's
So
great.
I wasn't feeling it anymore, so I left. I don't really care. So and then while I was the creative director for the sneakers club, I was the um, chief and editor for Volta, which is the
Well done.
magazine portion for FLS. So FLS is the fashion club, and they have a subordinate club called Volta, which is they're releasing fashion magazine every year. So I designed their magazine,
Oh
and
nice.
it's coming out this year. I thought they canceled it, but they didn't. Whether they credit me or not, I don't know because I wasn't in contact with them after I left. So I
Okay.
designed the magazine for them, and then I had to deal with comp sci stuff, so I couldn't really dedicate to something that only fourth year students have time for.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Like it's a heavy commitment.
Commit. Yeah.
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 But
So I designed their magazine and just did comp sci, but they're using my blueprint. I'm pretty sure. Last I checked.
nice.
And what else was that? I dwelled into the skating community of Western too at the same time. There's actually a large, maybe medium large, skating community. Like skateboarding.
Yeah,
Because you
skateboarding.
see sometimes when you walk around campus, you see those people skating by
Weldon
social
and like
science.
CCC, social science. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all friends. They're all in one group.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they're all in one group. They tried making a club. And I was their creative director as well, just like the sneakers club. And I was gonna like do videos for them, market it for them. It didn't end up happening. The club didn't blossom. And honestly, there's a few reasons for that, but it wouldn't have worked anyways because I think Western is kind of anti-skating. They're putting up signs of like no skating here on places they used to skate. Like they used to skate in front of UCC, and then a few months later they have a sign there you can't skate here. So I'm like, dang.
I guess
Uh,
that's yeah, fair.
yeah. So Western is a bit anti-skating. I think because like they're scared that skaters will get injured, and then Western is hold liable.
Liability thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So but they're still friends. They skate everywhere. They love skating. It's a big skating culture. And in that skating culture in Western, there's also metal culture, like rock metal, like hard metal.
Hard
So
rock.
yeah, like the genre metal for music, right?
I don't know if
So there's
that's the music
I
genre
don't,
I associate with skaters that often, but that does make sense, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is a lot of them are in that, like, which is weird because like it's kind of interesting when I met the skating people, I met this guy that has a band called I forgot the band's name,
That's
but it's a band. They're like 4 or 5 people, and they make metal music. They're a metal band, and it's not just them. There's a few people too that are into music. There's another band in the skating
there's
community,
two
metal
bands in
too.
this in the
Yeah,
Western skating community.
yeah. Like they just make metal music, and like one of them is actually making the soundtrack for my current film. He's a drummer for it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's like what the hell? It's interesting. Like you meet the skating culture. It turns out there's another culture that's very involved with it, you know, and it's interesting. It's something that you don't really see on the front face of Western, you know, and yeah. So that helped me grow a lot as a person and artistically,
So
being
you
involved
had,
with fashion and skating. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't even skate. I wasn't. I'm like I'm not good at it, but I would make films featuring the skater. His name is just the metal artist.
What's his name?
So Camilo.
Camila. Okay.
Yeah. I would message them, be like, hey, I want to make a skating film because I want to try experimenting with that. Like you would just skate and I would just record. And this is without the proper conventional ways of filmmaking, which I've abandoned now. But before I used to do that, which is the foundation of actually videography, which is coming in and winging it and then creating something out of winging it. Because
Uh,
videographers can't plan out the day of the event that they're going to videograph. They can't go to a wedding and then expect ABC to happen because ABC will not happen. It will, like it might happen, but it might change. So a
that
lot of
makes
times
sense.
they're
Yeah.
winging it. So it all relies on their technical ability of performing well and adapt to the situation. So that's what and I abandoned that because that's very different than filmmaking. Filmmaking is organization, also adapting to situations that will arise on set, on production. But all of it is organization of ideas. So that means actually planning your ideas out and executing them instead of winging it. Like I can't message actors and people and be like, "Hey, meet tomorrow. I don't know what film I'm gonna make, but we're just gonna wing it. You're just gonna improv. That film is gonna be
Yeah.
bad."
That probably not work at all. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So that's when I'm like, okay, well, that's not what I want to do. I want to be a filmmaker. So I stopped that and now I'm doing that instead. But at that time, I was doing that a lot. I was doing that with fashion and skating. And I was experimenting with these concepts of narrating through fashion and skating, which the skating ones didn't work. The concept didn't really work. It wasn't making sense. It didn't make sense to people who watch the films I put out either, with the skating narrative to it, which was just like I tried a mini documentary kind of thing. I tried aesthetic aesthetic look to skating. It didn't work out, so it clearly wasn't my thing. I pushed it too, so I pushed through the disappointment phase, gone through it, and like yeah, like I'm doing something wrong here. Let me go back to square one and let me reanalyze. But the fashion thing worked. The fashion thing, I was creating some concepts that I don't think was done before. You know, like I don't think anyone has made a documentary, not documentary, a fashion series on Western where it's not just, hey, look at me, I'm wearing clothes, and it's flashy scenes, one, two, three. I try adding narratives to it. Tell me about yourself. Tell me who you are, your thoughts, and your personality, your inspirations, how that connects to how you dress. So I had a guy, his name is Nathan. I featured him a lot because I really liked him, and he wrote about me for his final MIT assignment. And he talked about
Oh,
the
nice.
the films we did, and he's in the UK now. He graduated, but when he was here last year, that's all we did was that I made some fashion films featuring him, where he would narrate. He would not just narrate random fashion and why he wears the clothes he wears, and then we would showcase him modeling and his clothes, and it was all spontaneous for the filming and the conversation we had. None of it was planned, and there used to be like a flex thing. Oh, I made this film in one day. That was cool, but I've learned to that that's not actually good. like it's cool. That's amazing. You got
It's
talent. You can
cool.
make things
Yeah.
in one
That's
day,
doesn't mean
but
that the product is going to be something you're that proud of in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was cool when it came out, and then I was really proud of it. And then it made sense why that it didn't go viral and all that. It didn't really blow up in Western
Mm.
because it wasn't um something that people understood because I was presenting it so spontaneously. I wasn't arranging this ideas and concepts I was trying to present to people where it's like make it was making sense to them when they watched my films because it
Hmm.
was so spontaneous that I was like, oh, you'll get it. He's like, no, I don't. And I was like, and now I'm sitting down. I'm like, that's why I didn't get it because it was just spontaneous. It was like me just rambling A, B, C, D, and D. And then you're listening and you're like, so what was the point of you rambling there? Like, what was the point you were trying to lead to, you know? So now I'm learning to just arrange my ideas and actually planning things out, taking the concepts I've learned from doing things spontaneously, but not really the way of the production, but more of like the narrative um concepts I've learned, which is the fashion concept and whatever, and adapting that to filmmaking, which is my current short film. I'm using fashion to convey an idea, but it actually makes sense. It's not something that you watch and you're like, damn, I kind of don't get it. It's kind of too abstract, you know. I'm presenting something that people can watch and actually understand, but not like holding your hands. It's more like me pointing to a direction and you could see where I'm pointing to, but you have to walk there yourself
Hmm.
and kind of get to your own conclusion. But I'm giving you a direction instead of just like yeah, you head east. There's two different things, like telling someone go east and then pointing to a direction. You go this way and you turn right, left. But then letting them go themselves. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's a thing in filmmaking. So finding the balance between the two. So that's what I did with this current film. I took the so that's what I've learned from doing those videography stuff on West. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was sneaker club and then um fashion. FLS Alta, you designed the magazine.
Yeah.
You worked with skaters.
Oh,
Um
I'm
and through that also I guess metal.
Yeah,
Kind of scene.
I try I wanted to make a music video for one of the bands, but it didn't end up happening. You
Uh
know, a lot is I think it's just everyone goes through this. They hey, let's hang out tomorrow. It just never happens. Or let's hang out. We gotta hang out sometime. It just never
yeah,
happens.
yeah, have us. Do
So
you
me
still want to do
Sunday,
that? Okay.
music video for metal. When I have time, maybe yeah. Right now, I just have some priorities in
Hmm.
terms of ideas that I want to get through first,
That
and
makes
after
sense.
that, then I'll do like the side stuff. But yeah, speaking of that, I didn't mention it, but I also did meet Sunday, Ajax Sunday after at the same time I was doing all of that. I met him when he was giving a speech on the FLS AGM. This was when he was running for USC president. And I went
Oh,
up to him and
nice.
I went up to him and I was like, hey man, let me make videos for your campaign. I'm pretty good. And this is when I've learned when it comes to approaching people, there's a difference, like I said earlier, hey, I want us to put my foot in the door and get experience versus I can help you. Let me help you.
Yeah,
You
it
know, because it
does.
doesn't hurt for them to give you a chance and you could either disappoint them or impress them. And that's the
For sure.
pressure that you just have to deal with. So, and I told him, I remember I told him like I'll help you win, man. Like I just told straight up like I'll make videos to help you win.
Sound like
And
a
then
telemarketer, like some guy that like. Well, it's a good thing. Like being like, I
yeah.
can definitely. It's like getting. I don't want to say it. I want to say it in a nice way. It's like,
It's like
man,
overconfidence. Like it's really
it's like a
confident, but it
car
really
salesman where you
yeah, car
where you're
salesman,
like,
yeah.
you need this thing, and I can help you get it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, keep going. All right.
But yeah, no, yeah, and then I impressed him. I did. I told him I'll make a video and then I'm not gonna because I don't like talking about myself too
Hmm.
much, especially when it comes to like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. Look at me, I'm so amazing, you know?
Hmm.
But I did some stuff that impressed Sunday and then that developed a relationship with me and him after the his campaign, where
Hmm.
now he's in my short film.
Oh,
So I don't regret the videography stuff I did, even though I've abandoned it, because it allowed me connections. Because everything I've done last year in videography has actually helped me to create this short film. Because this short film I'm making right now is not by film people. is I think the first time ever that's been done in Western, and I've looked into this, that I'm taking different clubs and creating a Western made short film. This is all shot in Western and actually edited in Western back here. This is my office in where I work at in Western.
Yeah. You working like where are you working?
It's the ITRC, and I'm a digital media designer. I started working there before I started my first year because my stepbrother worked there, and we do like projects for profs. So we have like film video equipments to record stuff for profs and edit them. And we don't just do video stuff, we do graphic stuff. And sometimes we work on Owl, like the design of their pages on Owl, like the course
Okay.
sites and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So we do that. So when profs want their courses to look cool, like and they have some ideas, we kind of just bring their ideas to like we're like a production company. A little
Okay.
bit.
So this is
Yeah.
where you edit your films and stuff?
Oh yeah, I have nothing at home, man. I have a bad computer and I have a TV. That's it. I don't have a camera. All I've done is from this job. That's why I'm really blessed to be in the position I'm in. That it's this job that allowed me to um do the things I've been doing because they give me the resources, and it's where I've learned to edit and record this, that, third, the people I've met here, the students. And yeah, like this film is all edited here, shot with the equipments here, and it's all people from the people in this film, they don't know each other. They met each other through me when we recorded this thing. And it's all people from FLS, the models from FLS, people from the skating community, like the musician for that. And um what else? Sundays in the film. What else is there? I think that's about it. It's just these three different things. Um
Just pulled them all together for, I guess they all like
yeah.
trust you from experience they had with you and other things, right?
Yeah, exactly. I told them I want to make a short film. They were immediately like, "Oh yeah, I'm down."
Yeah.
So we made they came together, and I know that they weren't actors. I know that they're not experienced in filmmaking. So I designed this short film in a way where they can pull it off. So it's being told. That's why I chose fashion as a concept. So I'm using how models would move and the way they would wear clothes and the clothes they wear to convey a narrative. And once you watch a short film, it'll make sense. Because when I say it right now, it sounds like, how the hell did you do that? Doesn't even make sense.
I'll
You
see it and
can.
find out.
Yeah. Yeah, but so the film is about, I think I talked to you about it before. It's called Do You Fit in the West, a poetry. And it's a metaphor for many things. But one of them is my expression of feeling like I've never really felt like I fit in Western. I never felt like I belonged here, you know? And the film is about that, but um, the film is writing a film about a disdain for not fitting in has taught me to, because I changed the film. At first, it was more like a disdain feeling. I told you I make stuff based on emotion.
Emotions. Yeah.
So when I made the film, it was an emotion of not fitting in, and more like a disdain thing, like damn, like I'm really here just to make films. I wasn't making films, I'd be kind of irrelevant. Like no one would know who I am. I wouldn't have friends. So it was more like a disdain thing, and to make the people watching it question um and the reason why they do things, and we'll talk about that later. And but eventually when I was writing it and I recorded it, I realized that the film wasn't complete. When I watched the demo, I felt like it wasn't complete. There was something missing. And then it took me a few weeks before I figured it out. And I wrote a pair of new scenes that will go along with the film. And the scenes are like brand new scenes. That the scenes I filmed were disdain, emotion. And then the new scenes were an expression of me saying, hey man, I don't fit into school, but I feel like that's on me too. Like I
Yeah.
feel like the things I'm criticizing, I do the same thing. So I'm like, I try to be self-aware in the film where like, because you see a lot of work criticizing something, you know, and I feel like you have to be self-aware when you make something that the meaning of that thing is a critic, like criticizing something, calling something
Yeah.
something out, let's say capitalism, whatever, blah blah blah, right? But I feel like you have to be self-aware and think about where you are in that. Like I feel like
Yeah,
we've
the best
all done
way.
wrong, you
Yeah,
know?
I think like I don't know if I heard it said, but the best way to criticize something else is to criticize yourself first, is to know
Yeah,
like what you're doing and how you fit into whatever you're criticizing, and understand that, and then come at when you're criticizing, come at yourself as well, because you can't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, then I'm presenting like otherwise, then the film is just me arguing with someone. Because what's the definition of an argument? Me and another person were screaming two different things, right? And we're not coming to a conclusion. Or that, or I'm ranting and they're ranting, right?
Hmm.
I feel like if you watch a film like that, it's like it's a very specific emotion. It's not a general emotion. You're not
Hmm.
gonna be in like you're not gonna get to a feeling of I want to argue every day, right? So, and my with the film, I wanted to make it where it's not just something you have to be feeling a certain type of way to watch, but you can watch it anytime and come to your own conclusion. So when I decided to add that new part in where like I'm criticizing myself for calling this out, I'm now giving the audience the opportunity to see things from my perspective, but also give them the chance to speak for themselves. So like two different perspectives because the general audience for this film is people of Western, and I'm criticizing them, but I'm giving them the chance to like, hey man, I know I said this, but I also know I'm in the wrong in some ways, because there's a quote in the film that I wrote um, that Sunday said that happy people, um, no, so the person says, am I wrong to judge? And Sunday responds with, well, happy people are unbothered by the world because I forgot the quote, but it's like I'm trying to research. I remember the quote. I just don't remember the full
Funny
thing. It
because
was
you're
like,
quoting yourself
yeah,
of
yeah.
something somebody
But
else
it's the
said.
film.
Can't remember
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
but it's the film. It's happy people are unbothered by the world because the world is an unhappy place. It's basically the quote, hurt people. You don't see a happy person criticizing things, like this line at Starbucks is too long. They're just gonna wait there in line patiently until they get their coffee and leave. You know what I mean? And that translates to things when, as a happy person living in an unhappy world, because let's be real, the world is very harsh. You have wars going on left and right. You have nations falling apart. And you have Canadian dollar raises, like $100,000 is not enough money anymore. There's a lot of things you can say about
Yeah.
life, where it's like, damn, when you really think about it, life gets very depressing. So happy people are actually like they they're aware, they're not really ignorant,
Happiness
but
is, yeah, no, you got.
yeah, yeah, like they're like unbothered by it. They make themselves like they know these bad things exist, but they're just choosing to shield themselves from it. And that's not a bad thing because I think that's how you should live. Like obviously help people, but also don't make yourself depressed every day for no reason, you know?
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like, and that's why when I in the film it's like, hey man, I get it. I'm criticizing because I'm unhappy. Because if I was, I wouldn't be criticizing. Because I can not belong somewhere and still be happy. You know what I mean? But the fact that I am unhappy, that means I have some flaws and insecurities that I haven't worked out. So I'm calling that out. I'm like, this is my criticism of the West and the culture, but this is also a criticism of myself. This is the bias that I come with when I present you this hypothesis on a culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there is no right or wrong answer in anything. There is when it comes to like very technical stuff, but when it comes to art and opinions and concepts, there is no right or wrong answer. So I feel like when you come with a very strong statement, you have to be self-aware. Otherwise, all you're doing is just ranting to someone and then hoping that a certain group of people agrees with you. You know what I mean? And then
Mhm.
all you have is just arguments left and right because of that. Because all you're doing is extremism. At some point or the other, me and the other person will have to come to a point of middle grounds. So I
Yeah.
did that with the film. It's like either way, let's be at middle grounds here. But this is my criticism, and I know you have probably had some criticism of me too, and I'm all ears. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's a good
So
way to, yeah. That sounds really interesting. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It'll be screened on campus in December. It's being test screened by Western Film Society Club.
Oh, nice. Have you been involved with the Film Society Club much?
Yeah, they that's the only club I'm involved in right now because I don't like clubs anymore. You
That's
know,
fair. You kind of did like
yeah
four at the same time.
yeah.
Very
Plus,
big
it's like
roles.
a lot of it is fictional relationships. Unfortunately, Western. This is part of the criticism I wrote. It's like Western. Unfortunately, it's a good school, but it's very superficial and materialistic in a lot of things.
I
You
feel like
know,
everything is, I feel like
everything
you
is
can take
yeah
that from anything.
yeah. That's
Superficiality
true.
is something you participate in rather than something you would just
That
observe.
it's also just a hateful part of me. I have a very hateful part of me.
All
Just
right.
yeah, So like, but yeah, like I don't know. I criticize people a lot because I don't like people in general, but I'm also aware that there's a reason of me that I'm feeling that way. It's like insecurities and flaws that I have to figure out, But the point is that I just couldn't deal with clubs anymore because I felt like I was just a service provider to clubs at that point. Like I wasn't really benefiting in any way. I was just helping people out because I was talented, and it didn't feel right. And because I would just get messages every day. It was like, we have an event coming up. We have this. I have this idea. I have that idea. Where are these messages of you trying to get to know me as a person? You know, like these
Yeah.
conversations you would have with other people. I'm not getting those conversations from you. I'm more like a camera to you. And that's when I was like, I'm done with clubs, man. And I just want to contribute to film. So I joined the film club because I met the president and we became close friends. And they made a whole new role for me called creative director, which means just do whatever I want, just make like whatever ideas I have, and I'll just record stuff, create videos, post it on Instagram, and just go about my way.
Mm.
And we kind of just talk, and so it's not really a, what do you call it, a dedicated thing. Like it's kind of just do my own thing in the club, personally. But they have this thing where they screen films every month. So the president is a big advocator for student-made films. He wants people in Western to get together and create stuff. I think recently the UC ratified a club called Directed by Western, and that's something that just came recently, that a group of people are like creating this club where people can join and make films together.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm not involved in that. But I'm involved with it's more like a loyalty thing for me. I feel like if I knew 2 years ago, I would have joined them. But for me, it's like I want Film Society Club is not the same as Directed by Western. I just want to help wolves because that's a club I've like kind of like I've always wanted to join before first year when I was in high school.
That makes
So
sense.
that's a club I want to kind of like just help out and let it grow. And I'm helping the president raise his vision of Western made films in that club. So we're presenting this film that I made because it's a Western made film. We're presenting it in December, and hopefully it will inspire some students to band together and create stuff, no matter the limits they have and the adversaries with the resources, just to kind of try it out. Even if you may fail the first time, it's still a stepping stone for that second attempt that you're going to do after. Which
Yeah.
what this current short film is a it's an attempt after my multitude of failures of creating films before this one. Because I think this is my first short film that I've managed to successfully create a narrative that people can it'll actually make sense. Because before this film, my art has been abstract, because I didn't know how to really um present my ideas in a way where people can understand it. It was just like a feeling I would put out. I'm feeling A, so I'm putting out A. I don't care whether you get it or not. Yeah, so it would just, but now it's like I'm making things in consideration of the people watching it. Not who's watching it, but people watching it. and making it still that feeling, but in consideration of your understanding, I will guide you, I will point to a direction of where I'm of what I'm feeling. So you can look at it and go there and then come up to your own conclusions, you know? So it's a middle ground thing while still being abstract in my own way, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Well, that certainly was an hour or something of talking. I'm not really sure. I think we got to everything I was going to ask about, but
Oh yeah,
missing
that's
the,
I think that's over an hour, yeah.
yeah, definitely a bit over an hour, but that's
Sorry
fine.
about that.
No problem. I feel like you're just really passionate about what you have to say, so you just have a lot to say, and so you keep saying it, which makes sense. Um, it's a really inspiring like stream of consciousness that you have, where it's like going for what you want and like reaching for it, and like you keep talking about like not just putting your foot in the door, but like showing that you have something, whether that is something to prove or something to like show for, and show that like you can be this proud of yourself, because you can have this like um drive to succeed, drive to like prove things to other people, because you have made things and you want to keep making things. I think that's really
Yeah.
inspiring, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners will feel the same way. So thanks for taking the time to talk to me about that.
Thanks for letting an ear to me, man. Thanks for letting me talk. And you know, thanks for having me on. I think that's the expression I was trying to find. I keep
Yeah,
forgetting that one.
no problem.
Thanks for
Thank
man. I
you.
really appreciate the time we had today and for letting me on. Um, you know, I've always wanted to be feel like I wanted to be heard, but so I really appreciate you giving me a chance to kind of speak, sharing my experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So really appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Glad I could have you on. All right. Well, have a nice
Thanks.
day.
You too, man. Let's see you
Yeah,
next time, right?
yeah. Bye. Hi again. Thank you for listening to Voices of Western podcast. I've been your host, Emmanuel. Feel free to follow Humans of Western on Instagram as at humans_Western, as well as TikTok and YouTube, which are both Humans of Western. For more of our podcasts, check out Voices of Western on all podcast platforms. Thanks for listening and have a great day.